But, is Susan Sontag actually wrong? By Colin Liddell. Everybody in the right seems overly triggered by people like Susan Sontag and names like the so-called war on whiteness. Of course, for many, it helps that she's Jewish. In metapolitical terms, she had a Christmas hit with her soundbite, "The white race is the cancer of human history." This and all the triggering and confusion it provokes will keep her name alive for a good many years. But being triggered, of course, is a sign that you are not critiquing, and thus not in control. It is a sure sign that you are losing, or about to lose, by making the wrong moves. This reactionary quality is the hallmark of much of the right, and also the characteristic of those tricked into making fatal mistakes. This is why being right-wing by temperament seldom works and often fails. The paradox of right and left is that the right-winger is entirely capable of using victory wisely, but rarely able to achieve it, while the left-winger is often capable of victory but has no idea what to do with it, rather like a dog catching the car it is chasing. But back to Susan, instead of being triggered by her notorious white people equals cancer analogy, let's calmly look at the essence of what she said. The white race is the cancer of human history. It is the white race and it alone, its ideologies and inventions, which eradicates autonomous civilizations wherever it spreads, which has upset the ecological balance of the planet, which now threatens the very existence of life itself. After reading that, you have to ask whether or not she is actually wrong, as the modern world is largely the product of white scientific, industrial, economic, and military genius. And, while the modern world offers plenty of benefits, freedoms, and comforts to the atomized individual, there is no denying that it is also behind many of the toxic effects of modernity, such as the masculinity crisis, plummeting birth rates, nihilism, a lack of purpose, etc., etc. As Sontag states, it also eradicates certain cultures, or at least modifies them. To my mind, this is not necessarily a bad thing, although it could be in certain cases, especially if you replace whatever indigenous culture that is wiped out, with cat lady Westernism and its dysgenic demographics. The truth is that quite a good case could be made that Western modernism or liberalism is indeed the cancer of history, and as Western liberalism is inextricably the product of the white race, we can say that Sontag is not wrong. Possibly she could be challenged by saying that Western liberalism is more the product of the Anglo races and their unique oceanic history, much more than other more landlocked whites, and this is something that people like Alexander Dugin try to run with. But that rather sounds like a mere quibble. Yes, Eurasianism is a mere quibble. Anyway, I think the correct conclusion here is to acknowledge that Susan is largely right and should be congratulated on her courage or even heroism in saying something that was bound to cause a lot of anger and butthurt. I don't know if she has ever suffered serious blowback, but I imagine there must have at least been mailbags of death threats or maybe something worse. Personally, I think that being Jewish and a lesbian helped her to say those things. But having said that, it should be remembered that Sontag is not offering anything positive here. Going back to primitive autonomous civilizations, like the Inca Empire or Edo Japan, is not really on the cards, is it? And I doubt if a Jewish lesbian like Sontag would be that keen on returning to medieval Europe. Instead, we have to look beyond history and think of ways we can build a future that is modern but not toxic, a society that has all the high-powered tools the white man has summoned into existence by his occult power, but which manages to also control their drawbacks. Actually, do you know what that sounds like? Yes, yet another project for the genius of the white man.